Volkan, congrats on a big win tonight here in Uruguay. It went as you expected. You got a finish. It ended as you expected. You got a knockout. But did the fight play out as you were expecting, or did something went different according to plan?
It went exactly as I planned because I knew Ilir he's really strong. He's like a big tank, but he has a little problem with his cardio also. So I knew if I was about to put a lot of pace, a really high pace, a lot of intensity in the first round, and then I will wait for the second round to start, he's gonna gas out really slowly, And that's why I wanted to increase the tempo in the second round, drone into my punches to get the victory.
It's like a balance. You have to stay on him to make him think all the time and defend, but also be smart and patient to wait for him to slow down.
I did my forward movement, but sometimes I backed out a little bit. I want to create some hole, so he can feel like a little bit lost in the movements. But it's part of the game plan, and I was able to implement everything perfectly and get a nice victory.
You hit him with a bunch of hard shots, and he ate them, and he was still standing. Were you surprised at how much he was actually able to take? And
I'm surprised, but I know he has no neck, so it's gonna be really difficult to cut his head. So no, definitely a few shots were really absorbed well, but I knew it was just a matter of how much he's gonna be able to take it, and there was a certain limit to his absorption.
And he hits hard as well. Did any of his strikes actually land on you or hurt you?
I think with one punch landed on my head, but I think I didn't even check myself in the mirror. But I think I have a clean face. I'm not sure. So it was okay actually. Yeah, look always pretty, right? But no, it was actually okay, But he surprised me with the takedown, but I was able to stay composed, quickly go against the cage, stay really high, and work my way up. And everything worked the way I knew it, because I knew if I could make it boring for him a little bit, he's gonna try to break out and punch me, and that's when I knew it's gonna be my time to get the fuck out of here.
On Thursday, we spoke at the media day, and I asked you about pressure, about being on the losing skid and all that, and you said you were fine. You didn't feel your job was on the line. But now that you got back on track, you had a win. Was that bothering you before the fight, or was, like you said, you weren't really paying attention to that?
No, I didn't pay attention about this at all, because I did a meteoric rise. I had 3 really nice wins. Now I had 3 bad losses, one last really controversial, but it's like everything is balanced now. I took my time to grow up. I evolve. I create. I have no holes anymore, slowly. It's a lot of stuff that I improve, and I just want to say a big thank you for the UFC, first of all, to stick with me, all my fans, all the people that still follow me, beside the losses and stuff. And here I am, I'm back on tracks, and no time is here.
How you mentioned that you tried to see the skid and use it to improve it, but how big of a relief is it to snap out of it and get this win?
It's a big relief, because every time I was coming out of the arena in the beginning, it was a lot of celebration, a lot of joy, everybody cheering, hands up, and everybody was yelling, wanting to take a picture with you and stuff like that. And then after I had the Cormier fight, which is against one of the pound for pound greatest, the Smith fight, who became one of the contender, and the Reyes fight was also really controversial. So it was on the other side of the tracks, but I always believe in myself. I know it's just a matter of time. You just need to make the right improvement, and always believe in yourself. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Did that teach you some perspective to when you were on the rise in the UFC? Everybody was shaking your hand, wanted to take pictures with you. When you lost, no one was really paying attention to you, for fans. I mean, so did that give you any perspective, change the way you see the sport?
The really big change was when I was fighting for the belts. This was huge, everywhere. There was poster in me every bathroom. I was going into the pub and I was pissing in front of myself. There was my picture, and I was pissing. The guy next to me was pissing, and he looked at me, and I'm on the front of the picture for 2 months, 2 months in a row. It was huge, and that was weird, a little bit, But after that, it's a lot of things changed. But I had I made my way up in there, and then after it was a little bit of a down road, and I just hang tight, and still believe in myself, as I said, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm seeing now the end.
And prior to this fight, you mentioned that you wanted the rematch against Dominic Reyes. Is that still your plan?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the fight I want to have the most. Everybody know I want that fight. You just have to go online and read the comments on every website, every forum, social media and stuff like that. But now I need to prove to the world in image. I need to be on top of him and punch his face until he give up.
How, just going back to that loss, I mean, you had other types of losses, but I know split decisions. Some fighters, it seems like they have a tougher time digesting that, especially when, like you said, it's controversial. Usually both parties think they won when it's a split decision. Was it harder to sort of just move past that one? Did you sort of...
The harder thing was at the very end of the fight, before the judges, were about to say the name. I went into Reyes' corner and they told me, "Hey, congrats, you won the fight." So I went in the middle of the cage, and I was waiting for my hand to be raised. And first I heard the split decision, and I was okay. Why not? I don't know. Maybe the end of the third round, was a little bit, his way. But I was pretty sure, at least, even if the third round was his, I was winning 2-1. And then I was my name, his name, and I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" I was ready to put my hands up, and it wasn't the case. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but it doesn't take long for me. I'm on to the next challenge. I wanted to fight ASAP after that night. I talked with Mick Manor in the backstage. They proposed me to fight on the Stockholm card in Sweden, and that's it. I had 2 months later. I had another fight against Ilir Latifi. Unfortunately, he hurt his back. The fight got postponed for today in Uruguay. Maybe for the best, because I had a nice victory, and it was a really nice crowd here in Uruguay, and I had a great time.
UFC is going back to Europe, to Copenhagen. Is that a good idea for you to be on that card?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the cards I wanted to have the most, But now I just have to see what's up. I also need to take a little bit of time to check with my hands. My hands been bothering me a lot since already before the Cormier fight. But as you can see, I'm still able to, beat everybody with this problem. But, this is my fist. I cannot close it really well, and so it's a real problem. I still have this bump here. It hurt me when I punch, in training, when I fight all the time, So I'm trying to see a lot of specialists right now. I took some time off a little bit. I had my fight after a fight, but unfortunately Stockholm wasn't happening, so I had to postpone everything one more time. So now maybe I'm gonna check everything, maybe go to surgery quickly for the hands if I need to. But I need to work on my hand and see what's the best challenge next.
How did that happen?
It was in the problem I had with the law back in the day, in the bar fights, But I had a staph infection in my knuckle. The staph got really deep in my hand, and it started bothering me a lot, So it's just a big problem that just kept following me just before the Cormier fight. All the training camp, I wasn't really able to use my right hand, and I started going into the fight like this. I was a warrior. You cannot back down out of a title fight. It's the thing everybody wants to have. So I did my part. If you look at the Cormier fight, I'm basically punching only with my left hand, just a few times with my right, because it's just hurting way too much. But it is what it is. But now I put my way back to the top, back to the contention. I need to do the right move because I want to grab the belt next.
Is it a broken bone? Is it ligaments? What is exactly wrong with that?
It was a staph infection in the articulation. He ate the joints a little bit, so I lost a lot of mobility into it. There is a lot of scar tissue and stuff like that. I just have to, to see different doctor. Everybody start telling me you can operate. You don't need to operate. And maybe I need to find another guy or the right guy so I can really take care of this, because I cannot continue to train like that.
And you mentioned it, like in the Cormier fight, you wasn't able to land with your right hand. Does that make you want that fight back as well, to be 100% when you fight him?
No, I have no excuses. Whenever I fight, whenever I start, at the end of the day, he took me on the ground, he beat me on the ground because he was better on the ground. My hand has nothing to do with this. But you know, it's a fight. You know, like you come on a D-day and you feel great. You know, you're in big shape, the best shape of life. Maybe you go to a fight and you have problem with your wife. I don't know. You know what I mean? And your head is all messed up. There is a lot of stuff. It's the fight game, and you know, it's competition. You have to be ready for the D-day. And if something doesn't go your way, it's nobody's fault.
But not mean it's an excuse, but the part of you want this fight back. Would like that fight back.
I mean, this is the strongest guys I ever fought. You know, he's the number one pound for pound guy in the world, and I fought him, and I saw where my level was. But I was also back in the day. I was also really green. So now I really want to run it back. Also, you know, hopefully he doesn't retire and I can, you know, work my way back to the top. You know, because you need to deserve to be there. If you want to fight the best of the best, you need to deserve to be here. So I need to accumulate some nice win, you know, against the big contenders and work my way onto the top.
He seems to be real big right now, fighting at heavyweight. I personally don't think he's ever coming back to 205 unless they throw a lot of money on him. Is that something you have in mind, or you're not as big as him? I mean, his body-wise, he's so big. This is your division, or do you consider maybe one day moving up to heavyweight as well?
Back in the day, I was fighting in heavyweight also, you know. So whenever I fight at the highest level in MMA, I drop down, you know. Also, in my beginning in MMA was heavyweight too. So it's not a problem for me. You know, you just have to make the right choice and build it up. You know, it's not like you go up, you go down, you go up. If you want to choose where you stay at, you have to work your body the way you want to fight. So if I want to be a heavyweight, I need to be a real heavyweight, really strong, you know, have some more muscle, change my style of fighting a little bit so I can be ready to fight heavyweight.
Is that something that goes in your mind, or you really don't think about it?
I'm going to grow old, you know, like in 1 year, 2 years, you know, if you look at my first fight in the UFC, I was skinny also, you know, and then I start building some muscle mass and stuff like that, and you know, it's just going to keep improving. So at the end of the day, the cut to 205 will be harder and harder. So the next logical step will be to go to heavyweight, and there is a lot of fights that I'm going to do really great in there.
Which fights do you think, Roddy?
I think a lot of guys in the top 10 is not too hard, you know. A lot of people in a heavyweight division are like one-dimensional. You know, they're really strong, they're really big, but it's like everybody. Like when I start, you know, like Alistair Overeem was like kind of a mentor to me. He always told me, just go heavyweight, it's going to be faster. The rides will be faster, there is less people, the technical level is not as high. And he was right, you know. In the very beginning, I fought heavyweight, you know, I got to a nice victory, some guy, you know, and most of the guys, they're all striker, all wrestler, all this and that, and they lack skills. A lot of people lack skills. Now it's the new school, you know, everybody started becoming more complete, also athleticism, so stamina and everything. So now it's obviously harder. The sports grow, but I think 205 compared to heavyweight is way more difficult.
How much do you cut right now to make 205?
So today I just weighed myself before going into the ring, and I was 227. So 103 kilo, and that's a little bit the weight I was how much I was weighing for all my camp. You know, when I was in a good shape. So that's my weight.